course. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon. You can tell me when to start.
Okay. Madam, I think start now.
Okay, just give me a few seconds.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, students. So let's talk today about something different. See, some of the session. What I thought is I'm just going to take the sessions through case studies and all. And I will do simulation where I will show you either a video case or I will talk about certain examples or applications, and then we will have a discussion. So first session will be on any topic. Like today, I'm going to start the cybersecurity, and next session, which I'm going to take, same thing on cybersecurity. I will be giving you certain cases, and we will have a kind of a simulation. We will discuss that what kind of a solution, because see, cybersecurity is all about knowing first what are the threats and then designing a cybersecurity solution or solution to deal with that threats. So we are going to talk about from the very basic things from here today. So just give me a few seconds. I will share the PowerPoint. Okay, so you're able to see now, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us start with the very basic things about cybersecurity. This particular session, I will try to first cover at an individual level what are the kinds of threat we face in day-to-day life. And then maybe if we get time, we will go ahead with the organization level also. And then we will try to find out that what organizations are doing basically to combat that kind of a threats. Okay. So let's start, students. So when we are talking about cybersecurity, cybersecurity is nothing but computer security. And this is a concern which is not related to one organization. This is a global concern. Okay. So this concern is not only discussed in the boardroom of the company, but this is as an industry. The industry discuss that how do we find a solution for the cybersecurity purpose. So I will start today's session by asking you some questions that make you realize how dangerous and how less private interest has made our life. So let me start with the first question. How many of you have email account with Yahoo, Gmail, Rediff, Hotmail? Almost all. You must be thinking, how stupid is this question? Almost all of us use Gmail, or almost all of you use Yahoo Mail. We used to have Yahoo Mail. Now most of the people don't use Hotmail and all these kinds of mail. Then I say, stop using them. Why do I say stop using them? Because all these email have, which has hundreds and millions of users, especially Gmail. Did you know that all these mail is scanned for some keyword? All these email go through the Gmail, basically use a kind of a software to scan all the emails which are sent and received through the Gmail server for certain things to find out certain suspicious. Why? Because like Google, any company are subjected to report any kind of a suspicious activities through their service, whether it is free or premium, to their government. Like US government, we're going to discuss all these cases, has a security agents called NSA, so National Surveillance Agency. And this National Surveillance Agency forced company like Google, IBM, Apple to surrender or submit any kind of a suspicious activities or any moment they hear. So what Gmail does, Gmail look for certain keywords which categorize a mail as a suspicious mail. For example, let's say kill Obama, kill Narendra Modi. If this is a kind of a thing, a background check is done on you. If they found something, some keywords like this in your email, they just do a background study on you. You may not realize that a company, or they may be sending it to the National Security Agency or anybody, they report this matter, and there is a kind of a surveillance which is done between you. to find whether do you have a link between any terrorism group or not. Just giving one example. Now let's take the second one. How many of you use google.com? Everybody, right? Stupid question again. I know I'm asking stupid, but that is relevant now. You'll understand later. Stop using it. But can you do that? No, nobody can stop using it. Google is actually keeping a track of each and every user search habit on the internet. In other words, each time you connect to Google, whatever keyword you type in the google.com, they actually get recorded in a permanent database of Google, along with your name and also the IP address. So this is somewhere the Google is recording everything. You might be very, happy that in a very isolated room, in a dark room, you sit, you watch something on the Google, you delete the history. You're deleting the history from your computer. You are deleting maybe the cookies from your computer. But the Google database, you cannot. They are just using it for targeting our ad purpose, because their main source of revenue is ad. They do that, but they keep a record of everything. They don't misuse it, but they know what you're searching. So I was reading a book long time back which said that Netflix, Google knows you better than what you know yourself. Okay, so that's the one thing which happens. Now let us see the next question. How many of you using antivirus? Not pirated, the original one. So stop using it. Everybody use antivirus, right? Most of us, 90% of the people use antivirus. Now what happens in the antivirus? The story moves around. It's not rumor, students. In the underground hacking community, there is a belief that a lot of people argue over there that the antivirus companies are known to create viruses, known to create worms, you all may be knowing about those terms, and releasing them on internet and infect your system so that they have their business continuing. They can sell the countermeasure to you. If they don't come out with the new things, new threats, you will not become aware, you will not be scared, and you will not buy and install the antivirus. Now, next question. How many of you use? So this is the book which I suggest you can go ahead and read sometime, which talks about all these companies, how they become so big, because we say that these business people are only criminal minded. They are only spreading the criminals. So how many of you use Microsoft Windows operating system? Again, I say stop using them. Is it possible? No. But if you remember, each time on your operating system, when you get an error message, which comes as a pop-up on your MS Windows, there will be this dialog box which will ask you whether you want to report that error to the Microsoft or not. And if you click no, nothing happens. But if you click yes, along with the error message, a complete list of your system configuration information get transferred to Microsoft. Now the last question. How many of you use internet? Stop using. No matter what you do online, every moves of yours is being watched. There is no privacy. Privacy is a myth on internet. So everything what you do is recorded, is been logged on some server or the other. So obviously it is not possible for all of us to stop using internet. That's why in today's session, I will talk and act like a criminal and tell you. So most of the thing which I show you today might be illegal or unethical at least, but don't get alarmed. The idea is not to convert all of you into cyber criminal, but the whole idea is that you do not know how, if you do not know how cyber criminal work today, there is no way you can provide a solution for that. You've heard many times in the movie, the dialogue comes where the dialogues say that if we want to solve this case, we need to think like a criminal. So that is what the cybersecurity professionals are today. So in today's sessions, I'm going to share with you some common cybersecurity threats and the issues which are currently facing with couple of real-time example. Like for example, one example is there was one girl in Mumbai. and she went for a job searching, and she was staying in a one bedroom apartment, and she was basically it was a one room apartment, and she had no friends. So she had her only computer as a friend, which was the laptop was kept open always, and she used to chat randomly on the chat rooms. At that I'm talking a long time, it's a real story. And they were talking randomly with random people and passing time. One day she went for an interview in a company, and the company person said, "I've seen you somewhere." And the girl said, "No, I have never met you. This is the first time we're meeting." The person was remembering, and then suddenly he remembered and he said, "No, I saw you in a pornography website." And the girl was really shocked, and he showed her also. She was, fully distressed. She went to cyber criminal department and filed a case, and she found that when she was chatting, there was a spyware which was installed in a computer, and this spyware automatically on the camera as soon as the internet was connected and she was connected to the site, and all whatever happening in the room, whether she's dressing or doing whatever, was recorded, and it was telecast on the internet. And the criminal was never caught, though she filed the case. So, and again, another question: how many of us are using Android phone? Almost 80%, 75% of Indian are using Android based phone. The problem is the Google track the location of every single user globally. In fact, Google launched the website where you can log on and see all the location information you've been recording. It will store minute by minute wherever you are traveling. So there's a lot of privacy which is invaded by these companies who give you by this free. Nothing is free in this world, my friends. We are consumers to these companies. I'm sorry, we are not consumer to this company. We are the product. They sell us, and through us, they're not doing any harm to us. Don't get alarmed. But they're doing business. But there is no privacy. So the company will let you pause a setting called location history. So privacy issue affects about 2 million users device that run Google Android operating software, and hundred of millions of worldwide iPhone user who rely on Google for map or search. You can see that all your location you have marked in the Google accounts can be there. I will tell you the site where you can go and check yourself. If you want to find out that 5 years ago, where were the places you have traveled and gone and located that on Google Map, you will find the history of that in the site called myactivity.google.com. You can check yourself. Myactivity.google.com, you can just type your phone number and your email ID, and it will give you the entire history. So that is something which you can find about yourself. So anybody can find about putting anybody's number. So let us move to the second part now. Okay. So second part is there any solution? Is there any way that whatever I do, it should remain anonymous? My search history, my browsing history, my activities on the internet should not be tracked. So all of us understand that we need private privacy. The private privacy risk exists on the internet. Fortunately, there are some solution available. So students, what I'm going to tell you now should be, actually, it is a little unethical, but then it is my duty. And maybe you people know about it. It's nothing new that I'm telling you, but then let me tell you. So all of you know about a software called Tor, right? So Tor is it is free of cost. You can download it from the internet. So this Tor browser is generally considered very safe and secure because it has something called onion routing protocol, which encrypts your data and hides your IP address. Okay, so your identity is hidden, that who is actually trying to access what services, and also it encrypts your data. So Tor is best for those who are transmitting the sensitive information. Actually, Tor was developed for that purpose, just like VPN, which the companies are using nowadays. The companies whose workers are working from home, the IT companies, they basically use VPN to put a tunnel and a layer of security around the information which is traveling from the employee to the server, and in between, when the data is in transit, that's the time when the data is most vulnerable. So VPN is usually a more effective solution today, people find, because it strikes a balance, right balance between the connection and speed, convenience and privacy. Okay. And I don't know how many of you have watched this serial, the web series, which became very, very popular. Okay. Just give me a few seconds. So this is a web series which became very popular in, I think, in Netflix or somewhere else. And this web series was basically talking about the where in the villagers who are not so educated, they were using VPN to do all kinds of frauds, right? And that fraud is called phishing, which we're going to discuss now. Very important and common fraud on internet. So when you're committing a crime, you don't want police to track you. They didn't want the police to track their IP address. So they knew about VPN, and they use VPN too, so that people can't track their location, and they can just hide their identity. Okay, or they can create a new fake identity for themselves online, because online internet, when you're connected, you have an ID, you have a identity through which your location can be located. So these kinds of things are done. Sometimes the companies, where the government also come out and block certain facilities like that, which is unethical or maybe illegal. Okay. So just a minute. Sorry, students. So there is similar app called Ola. Okay. So Ola, if you are in India and you want to access American TV shows free of cost, you can use Google Chrome app called Ola. It will get installed in any of the browser, and Ola will change your identity and change your IP address, which also contain the information about your about your location, and you can access that, because Ola, the American TV is only accessible, and the right to access those content is only by Americans. Next is email spoofing. Spoofing attack is something where email spoofing is a technique used for a kind of a phishing, where somebody trick you and make you think that that message has come from a known person or maybe a known company. We're going to discuss about that also, phishing, and what are the solutions the company provide. My next session will be on that, plus a case study also, where we will have a simulation and discussion that what kind of threat you can identify and what kind of solution you can come out with. So for example, a spoof mail can be from a well-known shopping website, which will try to trick a recipient by telling that if we are giving you free, let's say iPhone at 15,000 rupees, you have won this, and just come ahead and provide 600 rupees for delivery charge. And for that, what you do, you provide your password, you provide your credit card number, you provide your, you type your PIN. As soon as you do that, they install the keyboard loggers and they get all your information will be used before you know it. Okay. So they basically install a malware on your device. Whatever you're clicking, whatever you are doing with your mouse or input device, that get recorded. Okay. Then this is a site which you can check yourself. I will type the name of the site. It's called, I'm going to type that here in the chat box. Just give me a few seconds. Okay, so this site you can check. I have put it in the chat box, students. It's called mkai.cz. And this is an example that what I can do is I can send a mail. Now I'm not able to show because Mac, I'm using Mac. It doesn't allow all these sites. Okay, the security things which I put doesn't allow that. So what example is here? The screenshot I've just put. You can try on yourself. You can just send SMS or email from anybody. Even I can go and write an email from Bill Gates, and I will provide a mail to you, which will seems like it has come from email from Bill Gates. And when you type the answer, it will go to actually Bill Gates. That is called email spoofing. So I'm not saying that there is no solution available to catch these kinds of fraud or detect the spoofing, but these are done. So there's something else called SMS spoofing. SMS spoofing is from the site called gang.com, gang.com. Okay. So you can go, this is a screenshot of that. You can type anybody number, okay, from anybody else number. And you can send some SMS. Okay. And it will look like that it has come. It is free. It will cost you around 100 rupees if you want to send, kind of a, it's not free actually. Sorry, I said it's free. It costs you 100 rupees to do that. That's called the mobile phone spying. Okay. Then there are some other communication apps like Vicar, Telegram, Red Phones. It is like WhatsApp. Difference is that they use military grade encryption. These are certain kinds of, see, WhatsApp also faced a lot of privacy issues in 2000, I think 21, when they came up with a disclaimer that if we will be using your information for the target marketing purpose, if you agree, there was a privacy rule which they wanted you. They were informing you that they will be using your data for marketing. You should always think Facebook, who has bought WhatsApp by paying millions of dollars, what was the reason for that? See, Facebook is earning through advertisement, but on WhatsApp, there is no advertisement, though now it has come. There are a lot of business accounts which are spamming your WhatsApp, messengers with a lot of accounts which come automatically, and you get archiving them or deleting them. Those are there. But the Facebook invested because they are using your data, the photos which you post in your group, the contact which you share, the content which you share. They use it not to harm you. What they do is they use that information to analyze your personality and do the target marketing with you on Facebook, right? So if you want a particular kind of a privacy and you say no, my see, one more thing, let me tell you, WhatsApp will always tell you end-to-end encryption. End-to-end encryption, they're saying that whatever information you are storing, it will be encrypted. Nobody can access except them. They don't say that we will not access. Now, WhatsApp doesn't store your information in the server. Like, unlike any other, like, for example, if you are showing in the cloud, it will store, but WhatsApp is not storing any information, but they have access to your information because that will be there in terms and condition when you download the app. Okay. So many people who are little bit tech savvy and who are known and they have money and they feel that no, my data should not be used by anybody. I don't want my data to be even used for marketing purpose. So they use these kinds of messengers, which I'm telling you. They are just like WhatsApp, but they have military grade of encryption. Military grade encryption means that they don't allow even the company to decrypt your data and use it for marketing purpose. They also use authentication like OTP and all. Okay. So these are something. Then this is also one website from where you can create a phishing mail. Like you can send a mail from HDFC or SBI bank and cheat somebody. I'm sorry, I'm telling you all these things, but I'm making you aware that all these are available. When this is available to common people, think about the people who are little tech savvy and who can create these kinds of things. So this site, if you say, I'm just going to write the site address in the chat box. So sometime if you have a time, you can go ahead and check this yourself. Okay. So now you can see this, that this is a particular site where you can just create a kind of a phishing mail and send to somebody, which will project like, and this is a phishing site, website, right? This phishing site is a site which will give you, though the browsers are now trying to recognize HTTPN and HTTPS site, whether it is secure or not. But still, this particular site will tell you that how you can create a phishing website which look exactly, you can create a site which look exactly like a Bank of America, right? If you know that, and it's not very, very difficult to do that, okay? So now what happens, there is something called tap napping. Tap napping means that we all know that we open multiple browser because we are so impatient that we work at the same time on multiple things. We will be watching movie, we will be listening a song in one of the browser, we may open a music application in one of the browser, we may have some other application like that. Well, we will have multiple tab opens. That is a very, very common feature nowadays with everybody. So I think all of us do that. We have intention to we have attention span of less than 5 seconds. It's a research survey which we say, and we need multiple tab to work simultaneously. So there is a security risk on this. When we move back and forth between these tabs, it is possible for the criminal to run a simple JavaScript code which will check your history and open a bank site which you logged in, and one of them opened the tab. Maybe in one of the tab you might have kept some very sensitive information where you're trying to log in, and you are just moving back and forth. So this is something. The other thing which I want to tell you about is steganography. Steganography is the art or the cyber crime which is developed by terrorists. The terrorist people during the 9/11 attack, they developed this particular technique which was called steganography. You remember in old days, the kings used to send secret messages to somebody, and these secret messages was in the form of some coding language. It can be a picture. Only the other person who get this message, and they used to send through messengers. And these messengers, even why these coding languages were used, because in case if somebody catches these messengers and take that message, they will not understand. There will be a simple picture or some kinds of a drawing. Only the person who to whom it is meant to be sent, that receiver will be able to understand. Similarly, the terrorists used this in the 9/11 attack when they found that the government, especially the US government, is very, very vigilant, and they are checking all emails, all kinds of way of communicating with each other was scanned thoroughly. So they used to send email from normally anybody's mail in a way which will look like a very innocent mail, which will have no suspicious material for anybody to understand or mark it as more suspicious. So what steganography used to do, students, they used to hide a text or a video or an image behind a picture. For example, you can send a picture like Mona Lisa picture to somebody and use a software for that, steganography software, okay? Like for example, Alka Gita or S-Tool. You can download something. I'll just put it in and try it yourself. This is available free of cost. So there is something called S-Tool. So you can get this and you can try yourself what I'm saying. I don't have that kind of a time. If I start showing you all samples and all, then in that case, not be able to teach you properly. So what happens, this is this way the software looks. You can just add a picture, and behind the picture, you can add the message, which will be in the coded form. Okay. And the person who gets this message, you send it through email or something. The person with anybody in between will think that it's a normal picture. They can't decode this picture. Only the receiver who use the same software can decode this picture and can get also, which can be blast the building or something like that. Okay, so this is what this is what is the S tool. Okay, and this is one of the things which I wanted to tell you. Now let's examine some cybersecurity threat landscape. Okay, so modern cyber attacks are actually evolving. Every time you see a new kind of a threat which has come. Long time ago, Internet of Things devices and deep fake didn't even exist. Okay, now deep fake, I will talk about that. There are a lot of things discussed about deep fake about this. So we're going to discuss this now today. These are the new threats which are coming. So emerging threat that could not be ignored, or there are a lot of unpredictable changes which are happening. There are a lot of threat the organizations are facing, and these digital cybersecurity landscape is changing at a very high rate. And based on these threats, if you identify, your organizations may now need to invest in new technology. So cybersecurity has become a very, very important IT strategy today. And every company is investing a huge amount to secure their data, to stay away from these threats. So it is very important that cybersecurity professionals should keep on updating themselves on what kind of threats of malware or ransomware are happening from time to time. What is malware? Malware is a serious cybersecurity threat to both as an individual or to organization. From 1980s, it is existing. The new kind of threat which started existing few years back, 5 years back, is ransomware. And it has the same characteristic of malware, but what the ransomware does, it abducts your digital assets. It abducts it and asks you to release. They will release those digital assets. They lock it and freeze it. We'll talk about that in detail. And they ask you for money in bitcoins, and you can't trace them who's asking. So malware is a software which is designed to basically gain an unauthorized access to the computer, to your network equipments, with the goal of causing a damage or maybe extracting information, okay, making money from this. So malware can be in many forms. It can be, for example, it can be in the form of viruses, worms, Trojan, rootkits, adware, or spyware. And the malware attack is the new form of micro malware attack, which is currently in use, is the cryptojacking. This is a kind of a variant which exploit a vulnerable computer resource, and it is basically to mine cryptocurrency. That's why it is called cryptojacking. Okay, we will discuss that also. So there are many type of malware. The infection method is same. There are two main ways that system mostly get infected by malware. The first, the system vulnerability. There must be some flaw in your hardware and software that allow the malware to get installed and function. Usually there are patches which exist to fix this. If you remember, when you install Microsoft operating system, the original one, or even the antivirus also, you need to keep on updating. Even your iPhone or your Android phone operating system, they will ask you to keep on updating. What do they update? They update a patch, a kind of a code where they identified a new kind of a threat and try to deal with that threat with update patches. So these patches will exist to fix those kinds of vulnerability. Because what these people does, the cyber criminal, they find a loophole in your system. The loophole in new software, maybe antivirus or maybe operating system or maybe any application. And those loopholes are exploited. So that's how these patches come when the company cybersecurity team understand that this particular threat has come, which is trying to exploit a loophole in the system. They try to fix it with the patch. That's why they ask the user to keep on updating their system in a timely manner so that their system, if it is exposed to some kind of a vulnerability, it can be provided or it can be prevented with those patches. So even old vulnerability was tackled in 2020. The Microsoft vulnerability, the first identified in 2012, is still included in FBI list of top 20 most exploited security flaw, is the malware. Okay. And the second most common way the system get infected with malware is user falling prey to social engineering. Now, what is social engineering? This happened when the attacker convince a user to download some infected software. And as soon as you open the infected software, which can be in the form of email attachment, or it can be a disk or a drive which is infected, the system becomes infected with that. So the system still need to be vulnerable to these malware that user introduced in their work. So there is a new kind of a thing which is called ransomware, which I was telling you. Ransomware is not only attacking the big organization students, it is attacking the small and medium size. I was reading one article a few days back which said that in India, from 2017 onwards, there were 27% of small and medium sized enterprises were also attacked by ransomware. It can be a small hotel who's running the computer system to do small tasks like the door entry by the guest into the door. They give them a card where you have to swipe or you have to touch the card to make the door accessible to you. So those kinds of things. So what the ransomware does, as the name suggests, is ask for ransom by abducting your digital asset. They freeze your asset. Okay. So either it does in two ways. Either it encrypt your data, which you can't access. Your file will be totally encrypted. Or what it does, it frees your system. You will see all your application, but it doesn't work. Okay, it stopped working. So these kinds of things are happening, and the attacker will give you a message saying that this kind of messages come, which says that whenever a ransomware attack happens, there is always a ransom message which comes. So when you start your system or your application program, you get a message which says that your file has been abducted or it has been frozen or encrypted by us. That means it is locked. And you have to send this much of Bitcoins at this particular address, which they give, which you cannot trace. It can be from any country. Mostly people feel that it's from China or Korea, but it can be from India also. So from sitting anywhere, these people attacked you, and they try to expose. They sometimes try to steal your file and say that we will expose this. In 2019, Sony Limited, which is one of the biggest entertainment company, they had a biggest attack by ransomware. And these people, their system got frozen. Most of their new movies were released because they didn't give up to the call. They said that you have to give this much of money, but they didn't listen to them, and they have to suffer a lot. They have to suffer because most of their unreleased movie were released on the public domain. Before it got released in the theater, they lost a lot of revenue. In 2022, the FBI Internet Crime complained that they received 2,474 complaints of ransomware that cost the victim over $29.1 million. So of course, these are not the only attack in America. This is the only America reported figure which I'm telling you. So the actual number of worldwide attack and money made through the ransomware is much more higher than what I have shown you through the survey, because that was only the American attack. So ransomware can use any kind of a malware attack technique, which I mentioned, can be Trojan or something like that. Okay, it can be through attachment or anything like that. So then one of the important thing which I told you about, the fake urgent mail with a malicious link which can come. So there will be a very urgent mail which will come from your client sometime. Like one example I'm showing here. And they will have an urgency and they'll say, click on this link. When you click on this or download this, when you click or open the attachment, there is a phishing attack. Okay. So due to the success and huge ransom demand which is made over, and very less chances of these people getting, caught by the police, the one of the ransomware attack I have mentioned here in the screen, which was an attack by Acer, and Acer was charged up to $100 million to get their data back from ransomware attack. So this is the social engineering kind of attack what we are discussing here. So now, how do we protect against malware and ransom? A successful malware or ransomware attack can be very catastrophic, can be very dangerous for individuals as well as for organizations. There are some simple steps you can take to protect from both malware and ransomware. Let's look at 5 of them. The first thing is frequent backup. If your system has been compromised by the malware or ransomware, you may have lost access to some or all of the data on the system. If you have been keeping your frequent data backup in some other server, maybe it may be not so devastating. And you may always say that, okay, fine, I have a backup data. Is that the reason why cloud computing are becoming so popular? People are keeping their data or backup of data in the third party server most secure. So in case of these kinds of threat, when it happens, the organization will not give up on the demand of the people. They may use the backup data which is there. So backing up of your data especially is important to recover from ransomware attack, okay, which targets your data. They've tried to take your data and say that we will not release your data, you'll not be able to use it if you don't pay us something, okay. So it is sure that you have a backup of your data. You don't want to attempt to restore your backup. Emergency time you can just take. The second security thing is apply security update and patches. Whatever security solution you are being using, you've been installed, that may get outdated because it may have definitions and solution only for existing threats which were existing when this software solution was developed. So even your antivirus also, what you install in your computer, don't install a pirated one, because that will not update the latest patches. The latest patches of the antivirus will actually do what? It will basically understand the new kind of a cyber threats which have come and try to identify and deal with that. So malware and ransomware can work on a system that are vulnerable to those attacks, where you don't have these patches updated or your security updated. So you can significantly reduce the exposure to the malware and ransomware by making sure that your system, all your security updated and patches are updated. Next, upgrade to the latest operating system version. I'm talking about companies. If you have been putting up of the expenses, or you're upgrading your operating system to the most current version, sometimes it happens that old operating system. That's why, have you ever thought why Microsoft keep on releasing the new version even for MS Office and this? Because they find that their old version, either to firstly is to add certain new features. Now the Microsoft, you all know, that have bought up the OpenAI. They have invested millions of dollars in that, and the main objective is the new version of the Office will have the Chat GPT kind of functions. Those can be integrated. But then again, the current operating systems is actually, if you update, it will be more secure than the previous version. So that's one thing which you should keep on doing. Fourth, install firewall. Nowadays, even the operating system comes up with a firewall. So firewall are designed to prevent unauthorized traffic, especially from internet, from getting directly into your system. So many forms of malware attempt to exploit the system that are directly connected to internet. And those systems which are without the firewall, they are most vulnerable. So there are also the type of malware that once installed attempt to communicate with your command and control system outside the infected network, because network also sometimes can get infected. So you need to have a network security system also installed. So hardware and software firewall can block these malicious traffic and flow. Whatever is like, it's like a watchman. Okay, they need to be updated. Finally, install anti-malware software. No matter how much you try to protect your network, your system, the malware can still be introduced by accident if a user become a victim of social engineering. Your employee may can install it. So that's why it's important to install a anti-malware software on all systems. Make sure the malware signatures are updated at least daily. So the IT department work have cybersecurity professional whose work is to keep on doing that. Have an eye. They are like a security guard of the data or the server, and they keep on updating this patches, find out the vulnerability, and reduce the exposure to the malware and ransomware. So let's explore one of the very common threat on internet: phishing and smishing. Okay, phishing and smishing is a social engineering attack. Just now I was telling you, it is designed to trick a user into sharing some sensitive personal information like your username, your password, your credit card detail. Okay, like that. Let's see that how these threats are and how they work. Phishing is being around in since 1990, and it's still going strong. So IBM Security Exports reported that phishing is the topmost. Just a minute. Phishing was the top method of compromise in 2021. The most common phishing technique is to send a fraudulent email to a target user. The email is designed to look like that it has come from a trusted entity, like the one I'm showing on the screen. The email will contain a manipulated link. So, for example, this link will have everything similar to a mail genuinely sent by Trust Bank. And it will give you and the mail will show some kind of urgency. Like for security purpose, we want you to click on the link. And when you click on the link, what happens? It will ask you for username and ask a password. Okay. And when you click on the username and password, the manipulated link will actually take you to the site which look exactly like a real site, but it is a false or fake site. And the user click, it goes to a false site which looks like a real thing, and you'll be prompted to enter your user ID and password. And if you do that, the attacker will now have your credential from the real site. So depending on this site, this can turn into an immediate loss of information and money for the victim, because they won't wait till you realize they will siphon off your money. So depending on the site, so what happens in some cases, the phishing mail won't have a link. It will have a malicious attachment. And if the recipient click on that attachment, it will often attempt to install the ransomware, which is another threat, which I was covering now. Okay. So one of the key to successful phishing attack is making the email look like that they have come from a trusted source. So phishing attacker frequently, trust, because what happens, they know that if the mail comes from a, they have to see, phishing people have to create a psychology of trust. And how the trust come? Because people are now becoming little aware of all these kinds of social engineering attacks. So people sometimes doubts before they do something. So what these people do, they use the brand name like Microsoft, Apple, Google, Chase. These are most fish brand. Okay, Amazon. So phishing email subject lines often have a certain style. For example, the subject line in the phishing mail may be, your account will be locked, and you immediately get alert. Because see, most of the time we open a mail from Amazon or any of these company only when we find that it is useful. From the subject line. In the subject line, it will be written, your account will be locked. Important. Please log into your account to verify your info. Or there is an invoice due, your account will be suspended. Now, they sound very urgent, at least important enough. You cannot ignore it. So this is something how it basically psychologically make you understand and create an urgency, create a panic situation in you, and you fall into their traps. Okay. So let's talk about some of the type of the phishing. So one phishing type is called spear phishing. It's a variety of phishing that customize email attack to specific user, right? And hoping they basically try to elude you into familiarity for creating to create more trust. Okay, like so the smishing has many of the similar kind of characters like I'm talking about, and it's called smishing also, like phishing. But instead of sending a fraudulent email, the attacker sent a SMS text to the victim phones. And the common smishing text message often impersonate a bank or somebody else. So it will look like it has come from a bank or e-commerce site like Amazon or something important with an urgent message about how your account is locked because of some suspicious activity, or maybe there is a kind of a payment which has to be made and the bank need your confirmation. They say, okay, we have some, because of your loyalty we are giving you this account and this will exist only for 6 hours. Click on this link and provide so that we can give you this. So you fall into trap. So phishing scams are can also include sometime a message which I've shown you to send you a kind, lure you with a winning prize. And they say that, and many times you might have forwarded those prizes, those kinds of WhatsApp messages, which will come from, for example, like KFC. And they will say that KFC is running an offer and a campaign. And if you fill your detail, like you provide all your details over there, and they say that click on the link and send this message to some 20 people in a group. You keep on sending, it will be never ending. It will show 80%, 60%, 70%. Ultimately, you find it was a fake one. What they do is they try to get, sometimes not more always all the time, they try to harm you. Sometimes it is just for getting, when you click on and send these things to a particular group in the WhatsApp, they get all their contact. So this is one thing which they do it. So this winning prizes is to redeem through some website. You will be immediately sometimes you will get also suspicious about these text messages, right? Because it will try to impersonate somebody like your boss. Sometimes what happens, even this is a very interesting example which I will show you now. So this has happened with one of my colleague in one of the company. I don't want to take the name of the company, where the smishing as an attack has happened, where a particular boss has told, okay, that to an employee and said that he is in a meeting, he can't be contacted, so send certain amount of money to the client, it is urgent. An account detail was sent. The person was calling the boss, but the boss was not picking. He tried to call somebody, but was not. And then again the mail came, do it urgently within few seconds, and the message came from the looks like coming from the boss phone, and the person has done this later on to find out that it was phishing. Then the phishing is something which is very common from 1990. It is there. Schmissing has come from the time the mobile and SMS became free. IBM security experts also reported that phishing was the top method of compromise in 2021. Okay, so this is how the things are coming. Okay, where the as I said that it can be always some kind of a attraction which comes to you and which you can't avoid. Okay, how will you protect yourself against phishing and smishing? Is there any way, individually and in the companies? So phishing is one of the most common form of the attack which I was discussing in the cybersecurity landscape. The straightforward way to protect against it, look at the 5-step again, which can reduce your exposure to the threat of phishing. First is implement email filtering control. Okay, since the phishing use malicious email, the better you get at blocking them, more you'll be protecting yourself and your organization. So user can control email at their box by flagging unwanted and suspicious email as junk or spam. Nowadays, AI is also used to understand those kinds of suspicious mail. They understand that, especially organization mail are using this. So organization can block all these suspicious mail at the server level by blacklisting the known malicious email servers. The companies are doing that. And even blocking email from entire country sometime. Like in between, North Korea was blocked for these kinds of mail by US. Then domains, certain domains from where if you're getting the email, you can block certain IP address. So the work of cyber security professional, the companies to find out those country, domain, IP address from where the suspicious mails are coming and block that at the server level. So the employee email box inbox itself, it won't come. So many email servers have additional control, which is designed by the cybersecurity to identify and block those kinds of malicious email at the server level itself. The next way to protect against the phishing is to block access to the fraudulent and malicious website. And this can be done at a user level. When you are using, suppose at a personal level, if you want to do it, you can access, you are accessing the only with the web browser that shows, sometimes certain kind of web browser will show you warning. So you can attempt to go to this fraudulent site when you're going. Some browser will have those kinds of capability like Chrome or any other browsers, or maybe in the Chrome you have some kinds of a setting you can do which can identify and give you warning. Most of the modern browsers now have these kinds of security setting which can be configured and where you can identify these malicious. At the organization level, you can install firewall or proxy server that can prevent user from accessing the website. The third step you can take is to use a password manager. This is a digital safe that can generate and store strong and unique password for any site that you need. That way you are not reusing the same password on different websites. Normally what do? We create a website which is easy for us to remember. It can be an important day in our life or important event or some pet name or something like that, which is very, very easy to identify. So that's the reason certain server doesn't have the password policy. Even in the companies, they have a password policy where they ask the employee to change the password in a frequent interval after every 3 months. And they give them the direction that how to do this password, which doesn't allow any simple password. They take strong password, which cannot be easily. So if your password is compromised in phishing attack, it is not. So this is one thing. Password manager is one thing. Password manager is a kind of a cybersecurity professional solution where it can manage the multiple password for multiple site. Even on a personal level, you can do that. Fourth is a multi-factor authentication, which is commonly used by banks or even e-commerce sites are using nowadays. So the stronger form of authentication is not password. You require a password, but at least if you require in certain cases, if it is a very sensitive information or financial information transaction, sometimes you may also require a biometric factor like fingerprint, eye scan, like in your payment gateways, they in iPhones and all, you can open the payment gateway or you can log in the password automatically through your eye scan, retina scan, which is unique. So if somebody else want to do it, they can't do it. So they can, these are certain kinds of authentication methods you can be used, right? And finally, or maybe OTP also sometime, two-factor authentication, which we say. Finally, we have a security training. Your employee, even if they are non-IT people, they should be knowledgeable. They should not be ignored, or they should not be ignorant about these security threats. Like sometimes we say that our employee should not walk in the organization blindfolded. So they should be a security training. Every company is doing that. So that they should be trained how to recognize a phishing mail, how to not to click on manipulated link. Phishing, they should be trained what is phishing, how to recognize that if there is a suspicious mail which is creating some urgency, how to find out whether it is legitimate or not, how to take help if they are not able to find out. You can also conduct a phishing simulation to test and to tell them that this is how the phishing attack happened. When it comes to smishing, the best way to protect against this threat is also the security training, train how to spot suspicious text messages. They should also be trained to never click on the link in the suspicious text messages, response to the suspicious text messages, or send money or do any purchase using the text messages confirmation, like a phone call directly from a person. So you can just call and try to confirm. So if your employees are alert by these kinds of training, the number of cases may reduce. So if you are getting a call from a wanted number, like recently I got a message from, and I saw on the Twitter also that the Karnataka police was giving a message to everybody on the Twitter. They were announcing also, and they're saying that the number which starts from 120 and some more numbers were there. Please don't take a call. If you receive a call on that, sometime you may now get a call, which will most of the time I get these calls. But because I'm aware of this, I'm not picking up. As soon as you pick up the call, your entire phone is hacked. It takes them few seconds as you receive the phone to hack your phone. So I normally from last 1 month, I started getting the call from Morocco. Then I started asking and finding, and I found on the internet there are many people who are getting the call. It looks like it come from the country, but actually it will not be from Morocco. It will be an international number because they're giving you internet calls, which they keep on changing the IP address and the number. And they, as soon as you pick up the call, and your phone is hacked within few seconds. So you should be knowing about this. So many people will have true callers to understand, to recognize, but they also understand the true caller loophole and they try to exploit that. Okay. So these are some kind of a training which has to be given. Now, let's explore the threat of business email compromise, which is very, very common. Business email compromise, which is called BEC in short, is a cyber crime which cost many organizations billions and billions of dollars. And many companies like Citibank, eBay got victim of it. So in this particular course, in this particular session, we will also cover what BEC attack is and why they can be so dangerous, and most of the time it is untraceable. So BEC attack usually start with a criminal hacking into email account. It's not phishing, I'm saying. They hack into email account and using them to pretend to be someone they are not. The criminal will then use the hacked email account. It is like hacking, and it is like impersonating. On the social media also, people can create account in your name on an Instagram and do that. It happened with me recently. That somebody created account, used the pictures which I had, and that was my mistake that I was not using the Facebook account for a long time, and I had some pictures over there which I didn't create a privacy in that, and they took all those pictures, created an Instagram account which looked like I have created, because there's no way you can identify that whether this is an impersonate mail or somebody is trying to impersonate as somebody else. And they started sending messages, and then I got some kind of there were some people in my known circle who became angry with me because there were outrageous mails, outrageous posts, and I started sending, and then I realized what has happened, because I was very inactive on Instagram. I've never used Instagram for around 2 to 3 years, and suddenly this created a problem for me, and I found that somebody impersonating me, and it is very difficult for you to make other people understand. And then I send a message to everybody in my group, and I don't know how, maybe this is a known person or what. The moment I send messages that I'm not on Instagram, I am my account is being hacked, or maybe somebody is impersonating me as me and doing this, that account got deleted. So these kinds of things happen personally with you. So the criminal will then use this your hack account or maybe social media account. Maybe you are at a very financial, you are at an executive level, very high level, and you might be a supplier, or you might be a person who's dealing with purchase and all. The goal is to trick the employee into making large payments and changing the payment process to send funds to some scammer bank account. Okay? So the most common way the email account are hacked is through phishing attack. Right. So since BEC criminals are going after specific email accounts, they don't know. They target those mail which have some power of getting funds. And this is also in a form of a spear phishing, right? I have already told you what is phishing. So BAC attacker combine phishing, social engineering, and financial fraud to pull a scam. And there are a lot of big scams like this which has happened. Okay. And now there is a new technology which has come up. And this technology is called deep fake audio. Okay. And generated by artificial intelligence to make a request even more convincing to the victim. So you create a deep fake. I will be covering that, and I will take you to the site also after I'm toward the end of the session. So deep fake video, what I can do is there are a lot of deep fake video of Obama, Donald Trump, abusing people, talking nonsense, but they are not the one. It is not Photoshop what I'm saying, students. What they do is, you can see on the YouTube, a lot of deep fake videos are uploaded. So what they do is, they basically impersonate you. They take your image and record a video where they say something, and it seems that it is, for example, like they make a deep fake video of Shah Rukh Khan, and whatever they are saying, it will seem that Shah Rukh Khan is speaking with the same expression, same accent, same voice module. Everything will remain same. Sometime it can be in the form of podcast, audio cast, or some audio messages. So deep fake is an artificial intelligence tool which is used basically now in a very wrong way. I always tell my student, technology doesn't make difference in life. How we make technology create difference in life. We can use it for the betterment, or we can use it for destruction. So I will cover the deep fake in this session if I get time. So we are talking about now to the spoof email, where the email header is false, which look like it's coming from somewhere it is not. They look like domain name, will come from there. It will look like a legitimate. For example, it will like my name, HDFC, Anita at fgdfc.com or .co.in. So you will believe that, okay, there is an employee of HDFC who is using the HDFC domain name, because he is employee or she is employee, she can only use, she have an access. So like this, the method of faking the email sender is something BESC, which I'm talking about. It is basically to trick the victim. Okay. So the variation of BEC attack may be in the form which I'm given here in the slide example. Like, for example, there will be a false invoice which will come to you, which will trick a finance team to send a vendor invoice payment to a fraudulent account. Payroll diversion, tricking HR to change the direct deposit banking account from an employee, who will say that, okay, my employee on my account detail have changed and send me in this, and they will send the salary to this fraudulent account. It can be a CEO fraud. It can trick the finance team to send an emergency transfer of some money to the CEO. It will come from a CEO request that I am in the meeting, I need this fund, but it will go to a fraudulent. It can be a gift card scam, right? It will trick the victim to buy a gift card for their staff and client and send a serial number of the card to the attacker. So some home buyer fraud also happened, where it tricked the home buyer into transferring the fund to a fraudulent scam account. So BEC may not be a common cybersecurity threat, but it is costing organization to shell out a lot of money in this route by the time they realize it. So according to the FBI, the losses in the US alone to BEC scam in 2021 were $2.4 billion. And that's up to more than 30% from the year before in 2020, showing that BEC attacks are very, very effective. Even though the organizations are using the sophisticated security tool, but they are not able to tackle this. So these are the compromised part of the cybersecurity threat landscape. Now let's look into something else. Okay. How do you protect against this email which are compromised, especially the BEC attack? So business email compromise, or BC, has a kind of a similar characteristic like phishing. So how do you try to cover? There will be some security measures which are similar to what you do in phishing, which I told you. So you can protect against BEC by implementing email filtering control. Okay. Same way on a server level, where it can find and prevent the email attack from a particular domain which are suspicious, or maybe from a particular server. So you may, because what happens is, these BSC attacker will spoof the legitimate domain into their email. Like as I said, it will be anita@sdfc.com. They will spoof that. Okay. So you can configure an email protocol like SPF or DKIM or DMARC to reduce these type of spoofing. So this can be done. So sometime DKIM, if you use it, basically used to reject mail where where the domain name is not matching. So sometimes it happens like some people or some organization may not use the same domain name of their company name. So my Chapel has actually given a good overview about this protocol in his ComTie security, which is flashing. So you can go to this particular site, okay, this particular site where you can find out various kinds of other threats, and also some kind of a link which you can go through and find out that which are the company. And you can also go ahead and find out the security awareness training. Most of the companies are using the security awareness training online courses for their employees to understand these attacks, and make them suspicious of some kind of a email request which is asking them to transfer the fund, and ask them to spot look-alike domain used in the mail, look-alike domain like HDFCs or something like that, where they may change the spelling slightly in such a way, or they may use the color. HDFC may use, for example, some blue color, so they will use a black color or bluish black color, so that you easily get fraud, fall into their trap. So any kind of a payment instructions when the employee is getting, so the organizations are giving them training to identify it verbally, find out, and then go ahead with the transfer without confirming. And if they find that some accounts like this are getting being transferred in a fraudulent account, they froze that account, and a lot of things are happening. FBI is also in the US dealing with all these kinds of fraudulent things, and they're making the citizens aware of this. There are a lot of training on their site which is coming up, and which make a lot of videos where they tell about the real cases. Okay. So this already I told you, there can be a lot of security training, a lot of things which you can do to avoid this kind of a threat. So there's one more threat which I'm going to talk now, which is called botnets and DDoS attack. Okay. Botnet, when you talk about, you might be thinking of, a kind of a image which will come to your mind, like robots taking over the world, like sci-fi movie which it shows. But reality is different. So let us look what is botnet. The botnet is a collection of computers or Internet of Things devices which is infected by malware. So what happens? The malicious malware take a remote control of all the botnet in the network, because so many system or so many botnets are basically what botnets does is it introduced a kind of a malicious software in infecting the entire network, and it multiplies. The botnet become like an army of robots and negative robots which try to attack all the system which comes into that network. So the compromised system will become a part of the botnet, that is sometimes called zombie. So because these zombie, as soon as they come in any other system which comes in contact with the zombie, they also get infected, they also become zombie. Okay. So just like that, just to make you understand, I created this term. So once these systems are compromised, botnet can use various type of attack. They will not use a specific attack. Botnet attack can be in the form of DDoS, which is, denial of services, right? Domain denial of services attack. It can be spam or phishing campaign. It can be a spreading malware. It can be a brute force or other cyber attack. It can be cryptojacking also. So the term botnet and DDoS attacks are very much related. Sometimes people say it's the same, but it's not the same. Botnets are the triggers which create this attack. They first come and sit in a system and then produce these kinds of attack in different form. Okay. And they keep on changing those kinds of attack for different system. Like, for example, if the phishing malware attack a system in the network, all will be attacked by the same kind of threat. But botnets can create different attack for different system. So by the time you understand and you provide solution for some system, the other system is infected automatically. Okay. So now what is a DDoS attack? The DDoS attack, as I said, botnet is just an actor. What happens in DDoS attack? Let us understand, which is very, very big threat for the organization. DDoS attack is an attempt to make an online services, usually a website, unavailable by overwhelming traffic from the sources, and the server doesn't have a capacity to handle that kind of traffic. Like sometimes you might have seen that you suddenly get your result. You have given some competitive exam, you get your result, and everybody wants to access. So millions and millions, lakhs and lakhs of people accessing the same server. Some of you will get an answer that server is not responding. This is because, this is not attack I'm saying, but this is because the server doesn't have a capacity to handle that kind of request. Now that is something, a genuine problem. But the problem where you send lot of requests or lot of traffic, which is unwanted fake traffic, to a website, maybe an e-commerce site, and stop their service because the server will stop responding after a limited number of requests which it can handle. Now, so organizations are handling all these cases. So the server stopped responding, and forcibly the customers, when they say server is not responding, they won't wait. They will go to the similar website, other website, competitor website. So then their thing is melt. So thousands of zombie computers are attacking and flooding the target with, what they, as I said, that these becomes a zombie computers, these botnets. Zombie computers means they will create a zombie computers which are infected, and they will send a request to the target website. Okay. And these requests will go to normally to HTTP browsers based request, not HTTPS. And per second, huge traffic will flood. And this traffic flood can stop and completely block the service of a target website. So DDoS attack can last for hours. It can be for a day. Sometime you might have seen, now it doesn't happen with Gmail, but initially in some areas, the Gmail service is not accessible. It is not like the Gmail server has a problem or the server is not responding or server frozen or something like that, or server is down. Never it will be down. It is because of the DDoS attack that service is not. Now Gmail has fixed all these kinds of services. So in fact, DDoS attack in 2021 lasted for more than 776 hours, which was not like full month. This was the longest DDoS attack for extortion. So the attacker behind the botnet will often send email to the organization and send before doing the DDoS attack. It's like army, the botnet, the robot army attacking your system. So DDoS attack, before that, they say that if you don't pay us ransom, we are going to attack you in this way. And if they don't get the ransom, they gradually ramp up the DDoS attack to put pressure on the victim so that the victims ultimately give up and give them the money. Okay. So botnet is becoming very common nowadays. Lot of criminals are making a lot of money. Some botnet owners also sell their service on darknet, dark web, as their service, and they say that if you want to attack a competitor like Amazon, for example, will say that we there's a new service or some airline company on their website. When the booking airline, they'll say, okay, we want a DDoS attack on this particular site, so that their site services are not available. Automatically the user or the customer will come to our site. So those services are available in dark web. You can do a transaction with them. DDoS services enable any criminal, and it is not like that you require a high technical skill for that. You can do it with no skills also, or maybe with little bit knowledge about that. So you need to know the kind of a thing. So DDoS attack is denial of service attack. Okay. So this is done by the help of the botnets. Now, let's understand how to protect against DDoS botnet and DOS attack. Okay. As I said, denial of services. So DDoS attack, which is becoming a very big threat for the organizations, their services are interrupted just like a strike in a factory. So we'll start about again the 5 ways to protect your website from DDoS attack or online application, which you can. First, you absolutely should have a firewall or a web application firewall, which is called, different kinds of firewalls are there. You might be studying when you are doing it. So I'm not going to go in detail. So there's a firewall type called web application, WAF, short in front of the website. So firewall and a WAF can be used to detect and block unwanted and abnormal traffic. They can also be used to control the traffic that reaches your application, the application program through which the attack is coming, a lot of flood of the traffic. So firewall and web application firewall can stop this unwanted traffic. The second way is that you can protect against the denial of service attack is by using load balancers. See, most of the email, the e-commerce company, when they have big billion day sales like Flipkart or Amazon, they keep on doing these kinds of sales where the traffic is 4 times double or double than the traffic usually which comes on their site. If every day they have 1,000, so that day maybe 5,000, 6,000 people may come to their site. Their servers are, if not capable of handling that kind of request, I'm not talking about DDoS, I'm just giving an example. Now they cannot buy a server and invest in the IT infrastructure for few days. So even the Flipkart will take the help of Amazon AWS to balance the load. So there is a system called load balancers or content delivery network, CDNs. So load balancers and CDS can actually solve the problem of this. What do you do is load balancer and CDN can share the traffic load across the server in different location. So which can basically reduce that. What it will do is it will keep the traffic in the server and distribute it to different servers. So your traffic is not targeted to one server and blocking the service of that. The third is using DDoS defense system, a service provider. So there are a lot of organizations which use certain service provider, for example, Cloudflare, for instance. It provides a service that can observe DDoS traffic and route only legitimate traffic to your web servers. So Cloudflare is a solution which if you install, it will understand which is a legitimate traffic and which is a fake traffic, which will try to block your service. Next is a good network monitoring system. Good network monitoring system will detect unusual internet traffic like DDoS attack once it starts. So notification come from network monitoring system, which will give you an early sign of the attack, and you can respond quickly to it before it is too late. So finally, develop a denial response service response plan. Almost all companies are doing now this. So define that who will be, from your previous experience and research, who will be on the response team, the IT, obviously the cybersecurity professional. Write down the standard operating procedures, understand the attack nature by doing a lot of research. And maybe you can just, if you are not specialized, You can hire a qualified third-party firm to conduct a DDoS test. So there are many security companies which specialize in DDoS attack solution, load test, and external threat simulation. So they can help in identifying your system misconfiguration, network bottlenecks, loopholes, poor instant response in your system. And they will also understand whether your system is vulnerable to join a botnet network. So primary way of the systems are taken over now. So you have many companies who are giving you those kinds of solutions. Norton is also one of them. So you should monitor your system processes. You can conduct a DDoS tech if you have technical expertise in that. Okay. And what you can do is the system protection, you can install the anti-malware. You can follow a good security practices by training your employee. All are same what I told you initially. Okay. You can also have a very good IT practices which you can train your employee. Like you can have a strong password instruction given to your employee to keep strong password. You can keep all the software and firmware application updated with latest patchwork. Implement the anti-spam control on your email servers. Use web filtering to block access to the sites that are commonly host malware, which commonly does that. Conduct regular user security awareness training and phishing training for your employee. These may actually seem like a very basic security task, but it go a long way in the organization. Almost all the organization are doing these kinds of steps. They don't want to become a part of a botnet network and get a DDoS attack. So you need to be updated on all these things and make your employee also updated. So you can do that. Now, this is my favorite topic, which is about deep fake. Now, deep fake is actually becoming very new trend because of AI, okay, artificial intelligence. Okay, give me a few seconds. Just give me a few seconds, students. I'm just doing it. So let's talk about a very interesting thing, which is becoming a talk of the town now. You might have seen in some of the movies, those science fictions movies, where you might see some kind of a new effects, SFX effect or CGI effect or special effect. Your movie becomes very engaging. Okay, so same thing. Sometime you might have seen Rajinikanth looking so young, but reality he is not. Okay, how do he look so young? Is there they might be using makeup, but today makeup is not required. Without makeup itself, your face can look 10 years younger. I was seeing that movie few days back, Lal Singh Chadda of Amir Khan. And Amir Khan and Kareena Kapoor was looking 20 years younger than what they looked on that screen. What actually they look. And understood this is a technology, not Photoshop, but they look like that. So this is the world of deepfake. Deepfakes are created using AI-based software, which mimics people voice and even their faces. So outside of Hollywood, criminals are starting to use basically deepfake to, in Hollywood, it is a lot of to social engineering cyber attack now, more very convincing. So deepfake voice attack have been reported where this is a case which I'm telling which really happened, where a cloned voice of a company CEO and the uh, other executive was used to commit a payment fraud. So the cloned voice tricked an employee into making a large payment and change the payment process to send a fund to a scammer bank account. This has happened really. This attack can be used in conjunction with business email compromise, BEC attack, which I told you in the previous slides. The email spoofing will look like that it has come from the CEO and sent to someone in the finance department. The email is requesting an urgent payment to process an important business. Sometime it may be, now what happens after you get an email from a CEO asking you to send a mail, you will become suspicious. So what you will do? You will make up a phone call. Okay. Or otherwise, what the person does, he will know your nature or psychology. He will give you a spoofed phone call, which will have a deep fake audio of your CEO voice, asking the finance person to quickly make the payment, which is referred in the email. As you can imagine that this is a combination attack, which is very persuasive. Deep fake audio applications that can do this kinds of voice cloning are very, very easy to find nowadays on internet. Available sites are available. Okay, I'll show you some videos also of deepfake, which has created a problem in the political scenario. So all the hackers need to do is a good amount of audio of a target person speaking. In the age of podcasting, you will find a lot of things like that. Deepfake technology is growing so rapidly and is becoming a cyber security new kind of a threat. Okay, I'll show you some video on this. Now, how do you protect against deepfake? Okay, now deepfake are designed to be, it is very difficult to detect because AI does that, and detect the AI technology is improving day by day, right? So there are a way to determine if you are talking to an actual person or a deepfake. Okay, so how do you spot a deepfake and step you can take to protect you and organization against them? First, users should be trained about deepfake technology. Most of the people don't even know that what is deepfake and how it is working. So how it works, how can you conduct a payment fraud, and how it is, what are the various kinds of cases which has happened. You can train how to spot a deepfake videos and audios, okay, including, like, for example, how do you do that? Unnatural speech, pause, right? Low quality audio. There'll be some disturbance in the video. Some digital artifact or noise will be there in the audio and video. Unnatural movement in the video, unnatural blinking of the eyes of the person will happen. Unexpected shift in the skin toning, which will happen. It will become dark or light somewhere. Make sure that unnatural way of poor lip syncing happen. Because somebody, see, I'm talking here, I will have a deep fake video of Shah Rukh Khan on your video, and it would look like Shah Rukh Khan is speaking to you in his voice. But whatever I say here, Shah Rukh Khan will say like that. So lip syncing sometimes will be very poor. Next, the user should be trained on deep fake, right? Sometime to have an alert. That alert can be like in the form of urgent something. And if there is a kind of a message which has come which create a sense of urgency, there should be some kind of a doubt in that. So social engineering attack often want to act quickly without thinking. They don't give you a chance. If someone knows you are attacked, that they know you, they know that if they create a panic and urgency in you, then only they can get the money. And they don't give you a time to think. And another kind of a social network is unusual behavior. The deepfake at not, however good it may be, but attacker are not perfect. The attacker may have cloned the voice using the wording. The actual person will not say something like that. For example, the actual person doesn't use some slangs or use some kind of a word you have never heard him saying that. So there should be some kind of alarm or red flag. And if the request itself is very unusual, so you should get that. User should be trained to verify the phone call requesting a kind of a payment. Okay, change through the method. Okay, but that's not always possible to verify that. For instance, if the CEO call requesting a financial transaction, then the person receiving the call should call the CEO back at their official listed phone number to confirm request if the call is really suspicious. So user could be trained to ask a test question that the CEO would know the answer, but attacker probably would not. Okay. So for instance, what's their favorite sports and team? But will you ask that to the CEO? Sir, please verify yourself. Can you please tell me that what is your favorite sports? Some kind of a personal question. You can't do that. So finance department or the organization should set up a procedure for some kind of urgency which cannot be verified, which should be verified before the doing a transaction. It is like an OTP. Okay, like the finance, there should be a policy that even if the CEO is calling, you should verify whether the CEO is a real person or not by asking some security questions, which only the employee or the CEO will know to spot some kind of a false attack like this. Okay, and then finally the finance department can process that after authorizing it. So let's look into some of the case studies, students. So Wall Street Journal CEO, the one example which I was giving you about the CEO. So the Wall Street Journal, the CEO of an unnamed, this is a UK-based one energy farm company was there called Alberta, and he was on the phone with his boss, and the CEO of the firm, uh, which has a client, a German client, and he told his employee to transfer 2,20,000 euro to a particular bank account in Hungary to the German supplier. And the voice which was used, which was a deepfake voice created by the AI technology. And the voice was similar to the chief executive of that particular company. And the person got easily fooled and he transferred that account. And later it was found that it was a deepfake account. And this is how the victim was basically. So this is a very was a viral case study where the AI was used to mimic the CEO voice, and the employee could be tricked to do that. So I'm going to show you something.
We're entering an era in which our enemies.
I'll show you a video, students. This is a video where just listen to this video carefully. And then we will have a discussion.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time.
Jordan Peele created this fake video of President Obama to demonstrate how easy it is to put words in someone else's mouth.
Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet.
Not everyone bought it, but the technology behind such frauds is rapidly improving, even as worries increase about their potential for harm. This is your Bloomberg Quick Take on deepfakes. Deepfakes, or realistic-looking fake videos and audio, gained popularity as a means of adding famous actresses into porn scenes. Despite bans on major websites, they remain easy to make and find. They're named for the deep learning artificial intelligence algorithms that make them possible. Input real audio or video of a specific person, the more the better, and the software tries to recognize patterns in speech and movement. Introduce a new element like someone else's face or voice, and a deepfake is born.
It's actually extremely easy to make one of these things. There were just some supposed, breakthroughs from academic researchers who work with this particular kind of machine learning in the past few weeks, with drastically reduce the amount of video you need to actually create one of these.
Programs like FakeApp, the most popular and widely available for making deep fakes, need dozens of hours of human assistance to create a video that looks like this rather than this. In August, researchers at Carnegie Mellon revealed software that accurately rendered not just facial features, but changing weather patterns and flowers in bloom. This advance is not yet available to the public, but with increasing capability comes increasing concern.
this is kind of fake news on steroids potentially. We do not know of a case yet where someone has tried to use this to perpetrate a kind of fraud or an information warfare campaign, or for that matter, to really damage someone's reputation. But it's the danger that everyone is really afraid of.
In a world where fakes are easy to create, authenticity also becomes easier to deny. People caught doing genuinely objectionable things could claim evidence against them is bogus. Fake videos can also be difficult to detect, though researchers around the world and at the US Department of Defense have said they're working on ways to counter them. Deep fakes do, however, have some positive uses. Take Cereproc, a firm that creates digital voices for people who lose theirs from disease.
Speech synthesis is the artificial production of human speech.
There are also applications that could be considered either good or bad, like the many, many deepfakes that exist solely to turn as many movies as possible into Nicolas Cage movies.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Okay. So let's look into some of more examples, students. Recently, there was a cyber attack in India in 2018, which was deployed on Cosmos Bank in Pune. And this attack shook the whole banking sector in India. When hacker has taken off 94.42 crores from Cosmos Cooperative Bank Limited in Pune. The hacker hacked into the bank ATM server, took detail of many visas and rupee, card holders, and money was taken off. This hacker gang were from not only from India, it were from 28 countries, and nobody was caught. So this was not only this didn't happen only in India, but it has happened. Just a minute. It happened in many other countries like Canada, Hong Kong, India is one of them. Okay. And the Maharashtra police, all these people, the cyber expert tried to find out who were the people, and they could just find out that it can be linked to North Korea. More than that, they could not find anything. It was not found. So this is one. Okay. So let's see that how much you have learned from, sorry. Let's take a quiz. You can write the answer in the chat. So the first question is BEC attack. Okay. I'll not tell you the full form. I talked about that. So what does it basically combine to pull off the scam? Out of these three: phishing, DDoS, financial fraud, social engineering. Yeah.
Second one,
Yeah.
phishing, social engineering, and financial fraud.
Okay. Yeah, that's a correct answer. Okay. So phishing, social engineering, and financial fraud together can come as a BEC attack. Okay. Let's take the other question. Two main ways that system can become infected with malware are system vulnerability and social engineering, spam.
Social engineering.
Yes.
Second one,
All of you agree with that?
spam emails.
Yes. I'm talking about getting infected. So infected is basically spam email attachments and all. Okay. Next. Okay. Now what I want you to do is I'm going to write, you all are going to take this particular side. You can take a copy, go to this. Okay. And try to test yourself. Test your knowledge about cybersecurity. Most of the thing which I taught, there will be question on that. Okay. So you can go to this particular site and so take a picture of this, go to this particular site and try to test yourself with this. One more question I will ask, then I will end it. I will write this site, don't worry, in the chat box. You can copy from there. Okay. So, just a minute. Let me first type the chat site.
Effect. Fourth one, B, ma'am.
Yeah, just a minute. Yeah. So which mechanism is malware least likely to use when defending itself against analysis?
Inserting junk code instruction.
Making use of tricky jump instruction or inserting a junk code instruction. What is the one?
Ma'am, first one.
Yes, so the first one is correct. So these are some sample from that site. There are a lot of questions on those sites. Please fill that up and try to understand your knowledge, because it's not, possible to do everything. What we are going to do is, in the next class, I'm going to stop it here. In the next class, we will be basically talking about some of the cases which I will bring to you. Okay, the famous cases in the organization. We will kind of doing a simulation. That's what I do in my classes also. I will give you some cases. You go through those cases, try to find out a solution, and then we will discuss that if this has happened, what was a solution devised by the company. See, students, if you want to become a cybersecurity professional, the two things are necessary. First, awareness about the threats. As I said, think like a criminal. Very second thing is finding the solution. First, theoretically. Third thing is developing that solution using techniques, which you will be learning in your offline session through these people. Okay, there is technology to develop this. But at the same time, when you're learning this technology, you have to apply what has happened, what is happening in the world of cybersecurity landscape. What are the kind of solution which is developed? How companies are dealing with it? How after developing so great solutions by even the big companies like Citibank or Sony, or you name any companies, most of the Morgan Stanley, all these companies are basically infected by these kinds of things. So we will take up certain cases of cybersecurity in the next class, do simulation in the form of case studies, in the form of video case studies, and then I will give that work to you, give you some questions, try to work in a team, come out with the threat which you can identify, find out the solution theoretically and technologically also. In case of, I'm not saying that you develop an application or develop some solution in using some tools, but you can tell me that these are the ways which we can tackle this other company, and then we will discuss what company has actually done. Okay, any question now? Now I open this forum for questions. So you can write some questions and tell me. See, when you go for an interview for cybersecurity profession, I have some friends who are in the department. I have one friend who is the ADGP, additional, Deputy General Police for, he is retired now. He has his own company and they develop cybersecurity solution. And I used to interact with him and he used to tell about how the police, especially the Karnataka police, was handling these, attacks, and how they are trying to help the normal police in tracking criminals, especially the terrorism attack or the communication, the terrorists do, or any kind of a cyber criminality threats which are existing. How they are basically, what are the cases, how they develop solutions. And there's a huge opportunity, ample opportunity in this field. And this is not so difficult. See, the line of ethical hackers have grown so far. People who are ethical hackers mean white hat hackers, have grown so immensely in India that they are earning a huge. There are so many freelancers. For example, Ankit Fadia is a celebrity ethical hacker. From the age of 14, he started doing hacking. Even Mark Zuckerberg was a hacker. When he was studying in the Harvard School, the first thing what he did was a hacking the college Harvard website. And when he was caught, he was called by the management and he was asked, "What do we do? Do we punish you?" He said, "You should not be punishing me. You should be thanking me that a student can, your system is so weak that a student like me can hack your system, then anybody can do that." So ethical hackers are those position in the company, every company, even non-IT companies, especially IT companies hire them, or a freelancer job also you can do. The government organization are hiring ethical hackers. Especially companies hire ethical hacker to find a loophole in their system. They say that you attack, but with all possible way a particular criminal can attack. So ethical hacker first mindset should be thinking like a criminal. That how can a particular system be attacked in a new way? What kind of threats can be existing and what can be developed? How a system vulnerability can be exploited? So that is the first skill a person should have when you want to become a cybersecurity professional. So during the interview, this my friend, he told me that the first thing, we don't ask them solutions because we will anyway train them how to develop this. So what we do is we ask them, okay, this is a case, identify the threat in this, identify the kind of category of cybersecurity threat, and what do you think can be dealt with this. And then they do the technical test of finding the loophole in the system, the software application program when it is run. The first thing is the ethical hacker try to find out a vulnerability in the system and then tell the system. So ethical hacking is becoming such a big thing, and it is not necessary that you should have a high technical skills or you should be highly technically qualified. Anybody can become an ethical hacker. Okay, so some of my students with a hobby, they started doing this. Ankit Fadia was not even engineer when he was 14 years. He was studying in a school. Okay, Tanmay Bhatt, who is an AI expert of the world, he's been hired by Google, by IBM, and he's getting a salary like anything. He's not even passed the school, but he's writing coding. He is explaining people about AI. So today that myth of doing engineering, Google even hires school kids like Tanmay Bhatt if you have good knowledge. So these are all myths which is bursting now. So if you have talent, the talent doesn't come from your degree. The talent comes from your understanding, your awareness. You have to keep yourself updated. Like the companies are updating the patch, security patch. So you keep on updating yourself. Stay in touch with what is happening in the world of cybersecurity. What is this dark web? We will discuss about dark web also in the next session. When I'm telling you that, or any expert is telling you the next session, what they're going to do, try to do certain research, come out with certain kind of discussion, make a kind of a challenge and tell them that, okay, what is about this, the dark net, how do we enter into the dark web? You all know that the internet, what we see is just a 25%. It's just like an iceberg. Internet 25% is visible, what we are seeing, what we are accessing. 75% is a dark web. And not only the illegal activities, unethical things happen. There are a lot of ethical things also. The government is also using dark web. Defense is using dark web. News channels are using. The journalism are using dark web. So there are so many things which are happening in the world. So we have understanding of the 25%, that also not full. Keep yourself updated. Read a lot of links, a lot of papers, a lot of books, a lot of sites, genuine sites. Do a lot of online courses and try to test your knowledge, because they will try to find out your awareness when you go to a job interview, how well you are aware of what is happening in the world of cybersecurity. Okay. I just bought a drop in the ocean. My work is to ignite you. That's why I gave you that link. Try to go to that link and find various terms. You should be familiar with various kinds of terminologies. And do cases, the case studies. In cybersecurity, it is about solving a case. Cybersecurity professionals are just like a police. Their work is to solve the crime by identifying the type of the crime and providing a solution for it so that it doesn't happen. Okay, so I don't see any question here. So student, let me tell you, give you a brief overview before we wind off today's session, that what will be the next session all about. So what happens in the next session will be all about the cybersecurity only, but various kinds of terminologies in the cybersecurity. Like about, certain cases I'm going to discuss. I'm going to mostly discuss certain cases as a simulation, and big cases, small cases, which you must know. And like, for example, Cambridge Analytica case in US elections, Edward Snowden case, privacy cases on certain kinds of apps, which were a talk of the town. Then maybe we will be talking about certain kinds of law which governs this data protection, okay, in the country, general law about that. Then like GDPR and all those kinds of things, okay. So let me wind off my session over here. So, okay, bye for the day.
Thank you, ma'am.
7th.
Thank you, ma'am.